Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance. In this resistance video, sponsored by contribution from Joan. Here's her story. Hi, Ollie. I'm not a science buff, but I am sure as hell not politically educated or even clearly understand politics, so I'm sorry in advance if any of my views are dead wrong. I'm just an ordinary sacrificial worker with limited education, and I just wanted to share what I have gathered in my mind and where I got it right and where I don't. Am I totally off base, or if some are seeing it like I have, or am I seeing it correctly? Are my opinions reasonable? Are we watching our president be narcissistically abused? Is the president reacting out of trauma? I don't think he's acting out of trauma at all. I think he's acting out of, he understands you got to hit these people back. It makes me angry that people keep blaming President Trump for not shutting down soon enough when the real problem was China trying to save face and not getting exposed until January. Then when he wanted to shut the borders, citizens called him racist, especially when the real kicker is in January, the COVID horse was already out of the barn and clearly galloping about the USA already. Right, narcissism isn't about facts, it's about lies, whether it's in your personal life or in politics. The narcissist can turn anything against you, anything. Look, that's why Trump is such an anomaly, because he understands. He doesn't back down to these fucking people. He keeps hitting them back and calling them liars. And when you don't, look, Trump is the perfect example of, if you never back down to the narcissist, you will drive them fucking insane. They want the confession. They want you to admit to some kind of anything they can use, anything they can hang their hat on. And when you don't give it to them, they spiral into just ridiculousness and absurdity, where it becomes almost like, is this for real? Is this a comedy show now? No, they're for real. They're for real, because they can't see their abuse for what it is. They can't see that it's them. They won't see it. They won't have that mirror held up to their face. That's all Trump does, is just hold the mirror up right to their face and say, look. I think what Trump ended up doing with the COVID thing is what I've always said Trump does. He gives you enough rope to hang yourself with. And he's like, watch him. That's what he's doing to Fauci and Birx. Everybody's seeing how many times that they contradict themselves. And eventually Trump's going to have to step in and he's like, look, once this guy and her, they've made complete buffoons of themselves, he's like, listen, I tried it your way. Now we're going to do it my way. Now a lot of people are bitching that we aren't opening fast enough. Talk about damned if you do, damned if you don't. We can't have both. I don't want to go to a restaurant with a mask on and have my waiter throw my food at me from 6 feet away, or worry one false move and I'll contract COVID or give it to someone else. It's ridiculous. If enough people feel the way I do, eating restaurants are going to lose money, even if they open right now. Precautions in place don't work for eating in. Even in January and February, China was minimizing how this virus actually works, misleading the world to think it was only an animal to human transmission. Then it was just the flu. Deliberately, they even fooled Fauci, a leading virologist. I don't think Fauci's fooled by any of this. Fauci's deep state. And he's incompetent. If he's deep state, that means he's also incompetent. Don't assume Fauci is he's another government bureaucrat. Thereby, he's incompetent. If President Trump slammed the borders down January 1st, it was still too late. I understand that a lot of people get this virus with little repercussion, but I also know this virus is much harder to treat than the flu. If the person gets moderate to severe symptoms, there is just no way to tell how bad a person's body will react. Yeah, it kind of is. If you're under 60 and healthy, you're going to be pretty much fine. I mean, it's run roughshod over senior citizens. Why? Because senior citizens are vulnerable in the first place. Only guesses. The stats are all over the place. You have 90-year-olds recovering in some cases while a 19-year-old dies. You do not have a 19-year-old dying with no prior medical conditions. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. You can feel in clinically be in great health and have no idea something about your body makes you vulnerable. I think what makes this virus so dangerous and unpredictable is it's dependent on how much ACE2 receptors you have in your organs. Everyone has ACE2 receptors, but some people have more than others. Everyone has these receptors in the throat and lungs, but some people have higher levels in their lungs, heart, tissue, liver, digestive tract, kidneys, and others. Hence the kaleidoscope of symptoms and unique complications from patient to patient. SARS-CoV-2 is not fake. It is not the flu. I saw what this virus can do firsthand. This is how I know President Trump is not at fault for any of this. My coworker was deathly ill the last 2 weeks of December 2019. She could barely breathe. She couldn't move, flu negative, never traveled, no contacts of known travelers. Nobody had any idea what was happening to her. Against the odds, she recovered, and she is older than 50. She had no idea. We had no idea she had COVID until a week ago when she donated blood, and they did an antibody test and found she had antibodies for COVID-19. The only time she was ill was December. This means she was infected anywhere between December 1st and December 13th, 2 to 14 day incubation period. On a positive note, her antibodies were still present almost 5 months after recovering. They're always going to be present. Once you have it, once your body figures out the antibody code, that's it. You're not going to get it again. That's it. You might get a mutated version, which is tough, but you're not going to get it again. What makes Berkshire County, Massachusetts unique is all 497 plus cases were the result of community spread. Not one case was a situation of someone coming back from a cruise or from another country or even another state for that matter, which tells me SARS and CoV-2 was existing in the country a lot longer than even December 1st. Otherwise, the contact tracing path would have been less diluted and easier to trace back to someone who did travel or had close contact who did travel. With a liar like the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, and WHO and CDC, no one could have prevented the pandemic. And following ecodemic and medidemic, President Trump is a businessman, not a virologist, epidemiologist, immunologist, yet he's criticized like he's supposed to be all of these things. Even if it was all those things, the American people would find some way to shit on him anyway. Well, not the American people, the media. The media is who's shitting on him, and the Democrats is who's shitting on him. Like the fake grounds for impeachment, blaming him for a terrorist, for attacking a terrorist without everyone's permission. What the fuck? If he did all that asking and notifying, it would have leaked and he would have missed the shot. Yeah, exactly. Again, you're trying to find rationality in narcissists. It's about the lie. Narcissists aren't about facts, they're about the lie. Hell, look what they did to Fauci, the one guy who was actually a virologist, trying to educate the public on flattening the curve so people have a chance to look at medical treatment. If we could trust the public to flatten the curve by not crowding in stores, actually washing their hands, using barriers at checkouts and keypads, actually cleaning commonly touched areas, and staying home when sick and wearing a mask in congested areas that have recirculated air, there wouldn't have been such a drastic shutdown. But a lot of people can't be trusted to follow through. It doesn't mean you shut down the economy. It doesn't mean you do what we did. No, we don't nerf the world. You don't nerf the world. Just like your friend proved, okay, our bodies are meant to be exposed to these things so they can build antibodies. If you just hide from it, you're never going to build antibodies to it. No, you want some government-made vaccine that's going to have who knows what side effect on you. Our body is the vaccine. Thank God he did fund virus research in China. Imagine what the CCP would pull if we at least didn't have that window into the goings-on in China. President Trump could have been perfect and would still be bitching. Not once did Trump tell people to drink disinfectant. As silly as he was to say what he said, even a non-fan like myself could tell he was thinking out loud, brainstorming about something he has no clue about. Not a wise choice as far as PR. At that moment, President Trump just tried to be a relatable, ordinary guy, but not everyone just ran into that to be assholes to make an odd situation much, much worse. I say stupid stuff here and there all day. Luckily, no one records it. This whole overreactions over Trump's free thought is a smear campaign, kind of like how narcissists kick you when you're down. Right, and they also assume that the average American is going to go out and inject themselves with bleach. That's how the media gaslights you. They sit there and they act like on these broadcasts that people really think, oh, the president said we could just disinfect ourselves with bleach. Like, come on. No empathy for Trump. Not one advisor even tried to stop or divert Trump's error. His team must really suck. They just sat grimacing and rolling their eyes. How can we blame President Trump for cracking right now? He's not cracking. He's not cracking at all. You let Trump be Trump. Trump can listen. It's frustrating to hear it, but at the end of the day, it makes the media look bad. Nobody who matters. Okay, nobody who was going to vote for Trump, okay, is now not going to vote for Trump because of the disinfectant comment, because the media made it. No one. They lose support every time they do it. It's frustrating and as aggravating it is to hear these stories. Every time the media does it, they lose support. The left loses support. It doesn't matter how many fake polls or fake bullshit they put out. They lose support. They don't convince any Trump. Oh, that's it. Even the woman who took the hydrochloroquine with their husband is now under investigation for murder. She obviously murdered her husband with the fish tank cleaner. Trying to say it was hydrochloroquine. Please. The first duplicate basis, impeachment. Then he takes out a total bastard who attacked American soldiers first, then is bashed for that. When, if he did nothing, we'd be bashing him for allowing that kind of abuse on soldiers. Then comes the SARS-CoV-2. We blame Trump because PPE reserves expired the year before COVID-19 hit, rendering them useless when we needed them. Trump has specialists that should have been in charge of those reserves. Where were they? Well, if they were so smart, why weren't the people in the medical field complaining a year ago? Because we didn't know, we didn't think of it. We're welcome to being human. Well, also, like, how many things can you fix at once? Like, you're not going to notice a problem until the problem arises. Like, if somebody sells out your stock room and sells this out, before you got there and nobody's there to tell you, and there's just things you're not going to know. There's just things you're not going to know until they happen. I do feel Trump doesn't communicate well and often speaks too soon, but I wonder how much of that was actually caused by the nation and the media. The guy spoke well enough to get elected. Now he's a linguistic nightmare. He was a linguistic nightmare when he was running. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. What he does by communicating so fast is he forces the media to change the narrative. They can't stay on any one narrative for longer than a day and a half. Why? Because he knocks them off every single time. It's a strategy. And he's just, it's like a dot. It's like making the cat chase a laser dot. That's all he's doing. Go over here. Over here. I saw a film of him a few months back, and he was having a meeting at a town hall. He was relatable, confident, more casual than the president's stereotype. But he made a lot of sense and answered questions more directly. I also doubt the ridiculous tweets or even President Trump. The news never demands proof of all the tweets are his. Oh, they're his. Oh, they're his. Believe me, they're his. He controls his image. No one else. No one else controls it. No one else is tweeting for him. No one. I'm disappointed he discontinued organizations that might have helped at the beginning of this COVID mess. But my understanding up to a year ago, we had a pandemic team that ran independently of WHO and CDC. But hindsight is 2020. A year ago, none of us knew the CDC and WHO were not our friends. Trump did completely disregard a nurse who told him respectfully and humbly she needed PPE. It reminded me of the scene in the film Oliver. Trump scared and hurt that nurse. The time to be relatable was at that moment. He blew it. I also couldn't find footage of events that led up to his reaction to her request. At the same time Trump triggers me, I also see the country of thankless assholes just looking to scapegoat anyone in charge. A country abusing a man to the point he's losing his mind and empathy. His composure to the point he's seeing attacks from the reporters that were not intended attacks and reacting accordingly. That in turn fuels other scapegoating. Who is going to be in their right mind with a Senate like the one he's got to deal with? I could go on and on about Pelosi, the push-up brow. The novel the Senate added to the stimulus package was just ridiculous, and they all got raises while we might get a whopping $1,200 towards our body bags. Then Pelosi comes out with the fluff story that she changed her tune because her granddaughter called her out on being an asshole. The majority goes, oh, how heartwarming, wonderful. Pelosi's so humble to listen to her granddaughter. Give me a break. That lady has serious issues. If her granddaughter has a better sense than she does. Sounds to me she should give her job to the granddaughter. Sometimes I see President Trump's narcissism. Sometimes I see a man who was deeply traumatized before he was president, or did the presidency do all this trauma? I don't see him as, well, I see him as victimized, not traumatized. He's victimized, not traumatized. Okay, when you have the apparatus of the FBI, the CIA, the DNI, MI5, Australian intelligence, New Zealand intelligence, okay, international spies, your whole family being unmasked and trying to have your business taken down, okay, thrown in prison, thrown out of the White House. I mean, what do you want him to do at this point? How do you want him to how should he respond to these people at this point that he has to deal with? It's part of the job he has to deal with. So what, be nice to them? Please, sir, be nice. Please. No. We're living in an age of chaos right now, and we have a chaos president. And that's just the way it has to be. Okay? Because there's not going to be any compromise here. Either our side's going to win or their side's going to win. And one side's going to have to surrender to the other. Period. Period. Otherwise, none of this is going to change. Watching the Senate debates over a measly $1,200 check was just ridiculous and eye-opening to the unhealthy work environment President Trump is subjected to. We are now pressuring President Trump to open up and get the economy going so we can blame him for a second wave or failure of business that don't work with the preventative measures. I want you to understand something as well, Joan, because you live in you are living in communist hell right now. So you're clouded by the bubble you live in. Outside of the Northeast liberal Massachusetts, New York corridor, that whole bubble, the Delmarva bubble, people don't think like this and they don't see things like this. It's because you're in the bubble that you're seeing things like this. If businesses fail up in Massachusetts after we open, it's because of Massachusetts policies, not because of anything Trump did. This whole pandemic has been used as a scapegoat for a lot of societal narcissism. That's not to say that COVID-19 isn't real. What I'm saying is it's being used to cover all of the left's and the media's sins. All of them. All of them. We are making sure he can't win. You see, you're living in Massachusetts. If you think Trump can't win and is not going to win, you got to get out of that bubble. You got to get out of that bubble. You got to get out of that bubble because it's fucking crazy town up there. It's crazy town up there. I feel like we're manipulating his business motivations to the point where he feels people want him to force mayors to open their states at all costs, no matter the cases in the state. Listen, all the cases are down. It's time to open up. It's time. They got you fear-mongered into thinking there's going to be some massive second wave. The lockdown states are the states where there's problems. All the places that have opened up, everything has gone back to normal and things are going down. Why? Because you got to let our immune systems build up. That's why. It makes no sense. This crisis is being used to cover all the media's sins and the left's sins. If you think he can't win, you are out of your mind. If you think with Crazy Joe, what he did yesterday, he's going to... Not happening. Not happening. You're living in a bubble. You're living in a liberal bubble. All we have done is put President Trump in double binds for 4 years so the national media can poke fun and criticize. But they're making assholes out of themselves. See, you're in the bubble and you're still taking this media seriously. Nobody's taking them seriously except the people in the bubble. And if you're not in the bubble, you're not taking you're just not. You're just not. This crisis is being used, okay, to cover the left's and the media's lies, to bail them out, to scapegoat them out of decades of dysfunction. That's what's going on. That's how I see it. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to monetize this video, so, hopefully it doesn't get taken down. Okay, so thank you so much for your contribution and story, Joan. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.